Good morning to day 241. Thought I'd actually start recording early today, so what's it early? 20 to 9. Today we've got to try and do some sanding and painting around the doors, finish that off. We've got some door openings, obviously we started last night, we've got to refill and resand in here. And apart from that and the skirting, we're nearly done in here. The main hallway itself has got the front door potentially being attempted today. Let me just turn some lights on. So we've obviously got it boarded back up again, but on the other side of that, the frame is actually in and the door is sitting here waiting. I'm a bit concerned that there's some nicks and knocks on the door. I don't know how, with an epoxy door, how we're going to physically touch that up. So I'm a bit concerned about that. But here's a bit of a bomb site. But within reason, it's been painted. Once the door frame's in, we're going to have to literally put the return here back in again because we're going to take about a foot out to get the door swinging in. This was so much nicer out yesterday with the light coming through, so it has confirmed I need to make sure there is definitely some form of window there. I did consider just blocking that up, but the window in England has been confirmed. It's ready to be delivered soon. We've had the first coat on the doors, but I said just leave it as it is for now because there's still work going on. There's no point getting those finished off until that's done, but we do need to get this door frame filled in. More sanding, more painting. This morning by 9 o'clock we should hopefully have the concrete coming. So 9 o'clock is when the concrete is due. Today what we're going to be doing is the main garage floor itself. So the bit that I'm actually standing on that's got the incoming call. We're going to be doing this part here. So it's going to be the garage floor. And then tomorrow we've got a bobcat coming to take a bit of marl off the front because apparently that's too high. That will obviously go into the side return here, which will be the pathway going down the side. And then we'll have the bobcat in here also, levelling all this off yet again. Hopefully getting all the crap out, all the rocks out, making sure that everything in here is completely flush and flat. We'll also get things like the brickwork here, get that plaster and get that finished off as well. And we are thinking about maybe making a side entrance. So in here, obviously there's obviously a nice entrance down. We're thinking about making a door here and closing this one off with ventilation. So you access the whole basement by coming down into this staircase here. So that's the plan. Sherwin is up on the actual the scaffolding, plastering in the overhang, so we can get that sanded and painted later on today. Anthony's up here tidying the actual the building itself, so it doesn't look like a load of teeth going along here. It'll actually be flush. So that's one thing he's doing. Tomorrow the rebar boys are turning up to physically rebar here, so we can get that poured with concrete and the roof here. And then Saturday, I assume, they'll start the rebar on the front, so we can actually get the driveway finished off here as well, and then we can install the gate tracks as well. The guys are in the pool emptying the water because we still got a leak in the moment, so they want to try and get that in the corners. They want to obviously get mortared up so that stops leaking through. We're quite a way away from actually needing to do anything in the pool yet, but it would be nice to look out onto a nice blue pool rather than Tyson looking busy as always. Isn't it? What are you sawing, Tyson? What are you sawing? So yeah, it would be nice to actually look at a blue pool of water rather than one big concrete jungle, that's for sure. I'm sure it will add a massive difference. Big shout out to Earl this morning that came along and said hello. He was out here this morning having a good old chat. If anyone knows who Mr. Olympia is, he lives up the road. He came along and said hello this morning, which was nice to see. So yeah, other than that, obviously once this is done and we take the formwork away, obviously it will give us the indication of where the concrete's going to be. The concrete will be here. So then we'll be able to backfill, the bobcat will be able to help us backfill all the way around here, all the way down the actual pathway. We'll be able to sort that down here as well, so we can actually determine what's concrete garage floor versus what's pathway. So hopefully we can actually get the remainder of the mile down there and we can sort that as well. These 2x6s are here, I think, because they want to put those into the floor for the actual track itself, because basically we've got to do the garage floor, the driveway floor, and leave a gap so that we can put the track in and then concrete around that. I'm hearing chiselling going on downstairs, so there's something going on in the basement. I don't know what that is. Other than that, it's just a day of general tidying up, and obviously the doorman's going to turn up and he's going to try and attempt to install the door. So massive door. He's going to have to physically chase out with a cat and go or with a Hilti the pivot hinge. That's going to have to be sunk in and set in concrete. And then once that's in, then he can obviously put the door in, slide it up, fix it in, and then you get the pivot effect. So painters inside, hopefully not creating too much dust for my wife. Top touches going on the roof so we can get that mortared properly. Garage being poured hopefully in 10 minutes time. Overhang being plastered. Pool being sorted out from a leak point of view. And tomorrow bobcat and rebar going on. Hopefully we'll get this, obviously this will be dry by then, we can put loads of plywood on here so anybody driving over it doesn't damage it. And then Saturday it'll be rebar on the driveway, pouring concrete, I think on Saturday, I don't know when. Hopefully the rebar guys can do the roof tomorrow, and they can also do the floor, which means we can probably pour Saturday. So anyway, that's the aim, and also this is going to be power floated, by the way, so this will be smooth, reasonably smooth, hence the reason why the power float is sitting over there. It's just like a massive Hoover fan, and it just literally circles on it. It's a technical term for polishing a floor. Anyway, apart from that, I've got stuff to do, so I'll update you a little bit later on, 10 to 9. Hope you have a great day. Okay, so Bayesian style, we've got a 9 o'clock pour going on, i.e. it's now 10 to 11. But anyway, Lewis Concrete. Don't ever book a cab for them, you'll be late. But they're here, that's the main thing. So we're going to get all this off, and they're going to pour, break, and float. And apparently there's 2 of them doing it, so you best be good, Alex. You best be good, boy. Right, so I'm going to be shooting and go and get some material in a moment. I've got to get the guys some diesel because the concrete mixer runs all day, every day. The guys are still now obviously making sure the door's going to go in smooth. Tyson's sweeping up a little bit behind him. This was done yesterday. It's still a bit too high for my liking, so they're saying that obviously as it gets wet it will sink, but either way I'd rather have it down a little bit more. Now I want the guys painting this. We need to get this, anything that's slightly been knocked or nicked needs to be sorted out. Anything that hasn't been finished off needs to be finished off. We start getting that painted, make it look better. Once this concrete's down today, we're going to be focusing on here Friday / Monday, so that's going to get done today. We're going to be getting the bobcatting tomorrow to get this down a little bit more. Apparently this is too high as well. That will be pushed over to the side. They'll get the back done, side done. Bobcat will disappear, and this will probably be a Saturday pour. So the driveway itself, etc., will all be done as well at the same time. I think we need to divert those, just in case anyone tries to reverse up the drive again. That's been broken off because of that. So I think we put 45-degree angle here, take them over to here, and then we can actually pull that at the same time in the driveway. That's probably the best bet. But anyway, I'm not going to stand around for this. I've got stuff to go and get. So hopefully when I come back, they'll be partially, if not halfway through, finishing off. I've got to go and buy the septic extensions. I want to get those done so that tomorrow when we level off in the back, we've actually got the septic hole manholes at the height they need to be at. So I'm going to look at that whilst I'm down at fibre pole. And then we're going to be getting this trial plastic next week, which means we've got to get the rebar and the concrete on the roof there sorted out tomorrow, which is one of our plans. The guys are up there finishing off the edges to make sure they look prettier, not so scabby and jagged. Other than that, they're getting all the extensions over, so there's no need for a pump truck, which is good. It saves you about 1,000. Get this bloody concrete down sooner rather than later. But anyway, plenty to do, that's for sure. Other than that, I'll update you and show you the progress as and when it goes. So we're pouring. So it doesn't take too long for it to fill up, that's for sure. Obviously what he's got to do now is obviously get this raked in, get this balanced out, and then what they'll have to do is obviously get another machine obviously to take another 6 to 8 cubic meters. So it seems to be that one is going to do, probably going to be, by the looks of it, it's probably going to be 2 lorries. They need to be looking at the levels, that's for sure. So there's a beam, obviously the beam goes all the way around here, so really what you should be doing is vibrate the whole thing obviously, but they've got to vibrate around the beams to ensure that all of the actual stones drop, moisture comes to the top, and there's no honeycombing around the outside. That's one thing you do struggle with here, is honeycombing in the concrete. Honeycomb obviously isn't very strong, but more importantly, it allows the salt air and salt moisture to get into the concrete and touch the rebar. And as soon as the rebar starts corroding, then you get blows. So that's going to be essential to get right. But you know, these guys do driveways. This is classed as a drive, even though it's a garage floor. These guys do driveways all the time, so they should know. They're putting conduits on the steels we put down for now, which is great. But obviously what that's not doing is obviously showing them the levels need to be at. So I'm very mindful at the moment that Beckles has been taken away. We should be here managing just to make sure that they get the heights right. Otherwise, we will have a few problemos. So anyway, they know what they're doing, so I'll get Beckles to come back over. The pool can bloody wait, that's not important. Let's go and get him now. Okay, so the second lorry's finally here. Apparently we've underestimated how much concrete's needed, so there's 5 that's gone in, this is another 3. But apparently we need at least another 3, so hopefully they're going to get another one on the road, because before you know it, concrete's going dry. So vibrator's not working either, so we're not having a vibrated surface, and we've got concrete with joints going in at the moment if it doesn't get here soon. So not too sure what's going on, but yet another thing not going according to plan, unfortunately. But anyway, that's life in Barbados. Here we've got the pivot hinge going in. Everybody loves a Hilti. And mess. Anyway, it stays like this. When things go tits up, I just want to get in the car and disappear. Because at the end of the day, it really does melt your brain. Everybody knew how much concrete was due. Everybody knew it needed by 9 o'clock. It was actually meant to be on Tuesday. We're now on Thursday. It's turned up late and not enough. The door was meant to go in straight. It's not straight. It's 31 mil out. So we're now going to have to put the door in slightly off. That pisses me off. The hinge is going to go in, but the hinge will go in off as well. So that's got to be done, and now that's being kangoed out, and that's going to be messy anyway. But you think there's a brand new door frame there, let's mark up the door frame, let's not get anything on it, but instead let's cover it in concrete and marks. And it just melts my brain sometimes why there's no real common sense applied. But anyway, that's my little whinge for the day. Building in this country really can be the most testing thing I think anyone can ever do. Anybody that's watching this video that wants to do it, you need to seriously think about whether you're going to do it or not. And if you're going to get a contractor, reference the living shit out of them. Because at the end of the day, the chances are they're not going to deliver what you want, and you're going to land up being left with an unfinished project. Anyway, onwards and upwards, old chap. I've got to go and get some materials now. So good news is somebody has turned up and is potentially interested in the full containers. So we might sell those and get shot of those. That will release up some space, some funds, and hopefully today the bin men are going to turn up and we can actually get some of this crap that we started accruing taken away. Of which some of it obviously is, you know, cardboard boxes that have got stuff inside, etc. So that'll hopefully will clear up things today. Tomorrow we should hopefully get this horrible thing finished and get the bobcat in. The bobcat can tidy stuff up. We can start making things a little bit more polished on the outside so it actually looks a little bit more presentable as a house. That's the main aim. So at the moment, every time I look at it, the White House looks amazing, but then you just got this big ugly thing in front of it, ugly driveway, nothing painted, it just doesn't look good. So those sort of minor things that we can do can make a massive change to the look and feel of the place. So hopefully we can get that done in the next couple of days. Other than that, I'm going to go and get some materials. Hopefully the guys can carry on cracking on with stuff, knocking things out forward, making sure we're getting closer to the end finish line. And I'll be back a bit later on and I'll check in with the updates. 1:30, still got the same teething problems unfortunately. But anyway, in the floor itself we managed to cut out the track, so we, the lads. So the pivot hinge is going to sit in here. So the hole's been cut. This is obviously the pivot itself. That's the case that it sits in. So they now need to use a special concrete called rock type that goes in there. The box gets sat in and set. You pour around it, and then the actual main infrastructure sits inside there, and the door sits on top. And the mechanism gone with a Rutland. There's the top part, and the bottom part's underneath. So that's got to be set in. Problems with concrete as always. Still waiting for the concrete to be delivered. There's not a power float. That's how hard it's going. So in the moment, not to have the concrete here is an absolute fucking disgrace. That causes a cold joint. So what they should have done is this piece here should have been pulled all the way along to keep that joint going. But instead they pulled in this corner. So now that bit that was the bit done this morning is now going off. So we've had the best part of like 2 to 3 hours of that concrete sitting there now. So the garage floor will be sorted, don't get me wrong, but that should not be left as long as it is. So Lewis Concrete is the guys I've used. I wouldn't recommend them at the moment, but then again, there's only about 4 companies on the island that do concrete and they're all exactly the same. We tried Ready Mix, had the same problem. We tried Rayside, had the same problem. We started off with Cemex at the beginning, didn't have the same problem with them. They weren't too bad actually saying that. And now we use a local guy called Lewis, and this is where we are. So I've just phoned the office now and said, where is it? Get it here as soon as possible. And the answer is, well, it's not here, so it must be on the road. So I'm waiting for a phone call. But anyway, the longer it happens, the longer it's going off. So as you can see, he's standing on it now. So we've now got to join wet concrete with concrete that's technically gone off. It's an absolute joke. But again, in their defence of the concrete, these guys should have actually poured this corner here. They should have poured it all the way along and got that joint fresh. So now we'd be looking at a line going along here that would be fresher than this line. So that's a mistake on their behalf. And they've got no vibrator as well, so they're pouring the concrete with no vibration, so not ideal. Anyway, inside the house, Rock is down there finishing off the wall down here, so he's pouring the column on the top, so he's finishing that. These guys have obviously just gone and get the concrete. Oh, they've got that before it came. So there's sanding going on. Hi, how are you? So the white mortar's gone on the wall. This young man's doing the wireless points and the cameras. They're all in. A beautiful wife's turned up. Kind of beautiful wife. How are you? The white mortar's gone on the wall. I know my wife wanted it grey, but it's white mortar now. I just saved them the plasterboard, fill and sand, that's for sure. It's more expensive, but it's 10 times better looking. Again, cameras on the far side, wireless points on this side. So yeah, everything's going on. So these guys do a great job, by the way. I'll get their name and number put into the comments below so you guys can actually use them if you need anybody. There's the cameras. So yeah, everything's going on so far. So still have a massive amount of sanding and painting to go on here, unfortunately. But this is now gone off by looks like that's ready for sand. More dust, more hoovering. But these skirtings need to be sorted out as well, so I should get the skirtings sorted at some point today. I think I'm just going to go MDF, find somewhere that can get it sheeted and cut and get it actually planed down, installed and painted myself. That's the plan, so I'll check in a bit later on. It's only 20 to 2 now, so I'll check in later. So the concrete's finally turned up, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock for what in effect is probably about an 8 to 9 cubic metre pour. Unbelievable, we've got so many bloody problems. So at the moment, okay, 6 o'clock, another long day. Let's have a quick look what's happened today. So we've had lots of painting going on here, more sanding, more painting. All the door frames over here have been sanded and painted in. We might need another coat on the ceiling later on. Like and subscribe, bro.